Hey friends, welcome to Rena's Lounge. I think I'm going to be starting this series where we're going to be reviewing and talking about books. Maybe we're gonna do I don't know. I'm gonna find a name before this video goes out. Maybe Bookie Thursdays or something like this. I don't know, but I'm gonna find a name to coin it. So this particular book I want to talk about is a book that I read last year, and I was having my bath today. I thought about this book deeply. It came to my mind, and something was like, Karina, go and open that book again. So when I'm reading non-fictional books, I love to mark my books, right? Hard copies, soft copies. I make a lot of notes so that I don't have to read it from start to finish when I want to come back to it again. But a lot of the times, though, sometimes we kind of it's not every gem you get at the first time you read the book. One book that I've read over and over again, and it's like as if I'm bookmarking the whole book, is the 5 a.m. Club. But that's not the book we're going to be talking about today. The book we're going to be talking about today is The Defining Decade: Why Your 20s Matter and How to Make the Most of It by Meg Jay. I'm going to be putting the picture of the book somewhere. I currently have the soft copy. And so we're just going to be going over some notes that I made last year when I read the book. Although, right now, the two things that I still carry from this book is honing into the strength of my weak ties and identity capital, and we're going to be talking about those two things in this video. So let's talk identity capital. So I'm going to be reading a part of this book and how Meg Jay defines identity capital. So stay with me. Identity capital is the collection of personal assets. It's the repertoire of individual resources that we assemble over time. These are the investments we make in ourselves, the things we do well enough or long enough that they become a part of who we are. Some identity capital goes on a resume, such as degrees, jobs, test scores, and clubs. Other identity capital is more personal, such as how we speak, where we are from, how we solve problems, how we look. Identity capital is how we build ourselves bit by bit over time. Most important, identity capital is what we bring to the adult marketplace. It is the currency we use to metaphorically purchase jobs and relationships and other things that we want. So, in this book, the author encourages 20 somethings, as she refers us, 20 somethings to not stay into that identity crisis for a very, very long time. She goes on to tell us that as the concept of identity crisis caught on in the United States, Erickson himself warned against spending too much time in disengaged confusion. He was concerned that too many young people were in danger of becoming irrelevant. So, basically, what the author is just trying to encourage when something is that we should not stay in what we usually call this existential. I don't know. Oh my goodness. I think I don't know. I've forgotten the name that we usually call it on social media. I can't remember. But anyways, this existing crisis or something like that. Yeah, basically she wants 20 somethings to not stay in that zone for a very, very long time. The author goes on to encourage 20 somethings to take out the time to explore and also have the nerve to make commitments along the way of their life. This along the way helps to construct stronger identity. So by the way, like I said earlier, I read this book early last year, and I think is it last year? I don't think it was even last year. I think it was even 2023. I can't remember. But basically, she said something. I think she's a therapist or something like that that is focused on young people, 20 something. So she said something that a lot of the time in therapy, there are a lot of people always say something like, now I'm reading from the book now. So basically, she said um, how a lot of 20 somethings always say, in quote, this is my chance to have fun, to be free before real life sets in. So basically, it was a fictional dialogue that she put in here. And basically, she goes on to talk about how that phrase is not bad in itself, but a lot of the times people have underlying situations that they're trying to mask before real life sets in. Meg Jay also goes on to make us understand that the people that win at adulting are the people who have very, very strong identity capitals. She also goes on to tell us that a lot of people mistake college majors and GPAs to build or win at adulting, but it's not the case. So I'm going to quote from the book. Identities and careers are made not out of college majors and GPAs, but out of a couple of door opening pieces of identity capital. This book is a very, very beautiful one. And I say this because in another part of the book, she talks about two things that I even never, that I was just hearing like for the very, very first time. And she talked about unemployment and underemployment. So let's talk about that. So she said something. She said, a degree from a university followed by too many unexplained retail and coffee shop gigs looks backward. Those sorts of jobs can hurt our resumes and even our lives. So we have talked about identity capital, we have talked about unemployment and underemployment. She actually contrasts the two, talking about the pros and the cons. So now let's talk about the third thing that I actually took from this book, and it's honing the strength of your weak ties. This is in terms of networking. So I have said this story over and over again. So let me tell you this little story, true life story. I had just finished reading this book. Okay, I think I read this book in 2023 actually. I had just finished reading this book in 2023. I was supposed to get this internship. I was supposed to go for like my undergraduate internship, right? So I remember reading this book, and there was this particular chapter that I was super engrossed in, and this chapter is called "The Strength of Your Weak Ties." So let's see what Meg Jay has to say about this. So she said, I'm going to quote her book, right? The urban tribe may bring us soup when we are sick, but it is the people we hardly know, those who never make it into our tribe, who will swiftly and dramatically change our lives for the better. So now let me just break down what I took from this book. So she talks about something where I can't remember the term she used it in this book, but the fact that the people that we hardly know are, want to help us better. And she talked about something called the helpers high. I always talk about this. It's called the helpers high, where people just want to help you. They know that they cannot get anything from you, but they just want to get that glory slash accolade that, oh hey, I was the one who pulled her through. And as I'm moving into through life now, I'm beginning to understand that yes, that is honestly a real thing, the helpers high. Like you see people who are just engrossed in that help that they've given you. Like they want to follow up. They want to make sure that okay, you have seen this through, and that the help that they've given you actually did help your life. Like that gives them that should I use ego boost? The author didn't use the word ego boost, but this is what me I took from the book. Yes, because I totally get where she was coming from. She also talked about how a lot of the time in our circle, the opportunities that you have, the people in your circle don't have more than that. Let me further explain. So basically, you have a clique, and your clique is just filled with people that are maybe in your class. A lot of the times, the kind of opportunities that you already have, that is kind of like exactly what is already flowing through that's your clique, that's your circle. So she talks about how basically, like I read, the people who swiftly and dramatically change our lives for the better are people that we hardly know. So basically, she encourages 20 somethings to reach out of their comfort zone, out of their immediate circles, and open their mouth and ask. I remember when I was listening to this interview of, I don't know, was it Jeff? I think it was Jeff Bezos or something like that. And he was saying how he's not the smartest or anything, but that what kind of differentiates him from the pack is that he just opens his mouth and he just asks. And basically, he did not use the term helpers high like Meg Jay used in this book, but basically, he talked about how lucky he has been. Everybody he asks for help always, you know, give him freely. So yeah, I can understand what Meg Jay is talking about when she talks about the helpers high. overall, this book was a 5/5 for me. I really encourage a lot of my friends. Like I post about it a lot. So this particular book and the 5 a.m. Club are two books that I always give to people to like read. Like it's an amazing book. It's really an amazing book. We I don't know if we read this in the book club, but I don't think so because it was one of my friend who actually like gave me this book to actually go and study in his words, right? He gave it to me to actually go and read. But in the community, in my community, I actually did share it that, you know, if you're feeling kind of funky, I think this book would help you kind of like she talked about everything. She was just like mommy. She was like my mom. You know, there is nothing that you are going through that she did not talk about in this book. All right, guys, till next time. So maybe we might be having this every Thursdays or every Tuesdays, but it will be in the week. But I don't know. So till next time. Bye.